Have you ever looked at a simple savings plan and wondered how it could possibly grow into a real fortune? Well, I'm here to tell you, it's not magic, it's just math. Today, we're going to ditch the guesswork and turn financial planning into a real concrete skill. Let's build your financial engineering toolkit so you can figure out exactly what your future is worth.
So, here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start with a really core concept, future value. Then, we'll see how it plays out in the real world with a couple of case studies, one from Ford and another from a steel plant. And finally, I'm going to show you the easy button, a tool you probably have open right now to do all this stuff yourself. Let's jump in. All right, first up, let's tackle a question that pretty much anyone with a savings account or a retirement plan has probably asked themselves. It's a simple question, but man, the answer is the absolute key to building wealth over the long haul.
I mean, really think about that for a second. Your retirement contributions, a savings plan for a new house, even a huge corporate investment strategy. They all boil down to putting away a consistent chunk of change. But the real magic isn't just counting what you put in, it's figuring out what it's all going to grow into.
Okay, the professional tool for this has a bit of a technical name, the Uniform Series Compound Amount Factor. Now, don't let that name scare you off. Just think of it as a special kind of multiplier. It takes your consistent annual payment, we call that A, and it tells you its future value, F, after compound interest gets to do its thing. It's basically how we watch our money stack up over time.
And this formula right here, this is the engine that makes it all go. Yeah, it might look a little complicated, but all it's doing is adding up two things: all the payments you make and all the interest those payments earn over the years. A is just your annual payment, I is the interest rate, and N is how many years you're doing it for. That's it.
Theory is great, right? But let's see how this actually works in the real world. We're going to take a look at how a massive company like Ford might use this exact calculation for a major investment.
So here's the scenario. Let's say the president of Ford wants to know the future value of a $1 million investment they plan on making every single year for 8 years. And they're projecting that their capital is going to earn a pretty healthy 14% return each year. So we've got our A, we've got our N, and we've got our I.
And boom, this is where you really see the incredible power of compounding. Ford puts in a total of $8 million over those 8 years, right? $1 million a year. But when you run the numbers, the future value isn't $8 million. It's over $13.2 million. That's more than $5 million just created from interest. Amazing.
Okay, that was pretty straightforward. We knew the payment and we just had to find the future total. But what if the problem is flipped? What if you know the future amount you need to have, but you have to figure out the annual payments to get there? Let's dig into a little puzzle involving a steel plant.
Now, this is a classic two-part business problem. First, a company projects $50 million in revenue for 5 years at a 10% return. They want to know what that's going to be worth down the line. But then, the president gets a little nervous about the economy and starts thinking, maybe we'll only get a 4.5% return. So now the question is, what does our annual revenue have to be to hit that original future number? Let's break this down. So first up is the goal. We use our future value formula to find that $50 million a year for 5 years at 10% interest gives us a future worth of about $305 million. Cool. Now for the challenge. That $305 million becomes our target. We need to find the new annual payment, the new A, that gets us there with a much, much lower 4.5% interest rate. To solve this, we need the inverse of our first tool. It's called the sinking fund factor, or A/F. And just think of it like this. You have a goal, right? A future amount, F, that you want to save up. This factor tells you exactly how much A you need to put into your savings bucket, your sinking fund, each and every year to hit that target.
And here is the crucial point. When we run the numbers, the answer is almost $55.8 million. So, because their expected return dropped from 10% all the way down to 4.5%, the company now has to generate almost $6 million more in revenue every single year just to end up in the exact same place. That is a huge difference, and it all comes down to the interest rate.
So doing that with a calculator totally works. But you know what? There is a much, much easier way. Let's move away from the manual formulas and into the power of spreadsheets. I'm about to show you the easy button for these calculations that makes them incredibly fast and simple.
For that Ford problem, we use Excel's future value function, or just FV. The syntax is super simple. Equals FV, then the rate, the number of periods, and the payment. Now, just a quick pro tip. In Excel, you usually enter payments as a negative number because it's cash going out. So for Ford, you'd type
equals FV 14%, 8, negative 100,000. Hit enter, and you get that same $13.2 million instantly.
Now for our steel plant puzzle, where we needed to find the payment, we use the PMT function. The syntax is equal to PMT, rate, periods, comma, future underscore value. And you see that extra comma in there? That is really, really important. It's a placeholder that tells Excel we're solving for a future value goal. So we type equal to PMT, 4.5%, 5, comma, $305,500,000, and boom, there's our $55.8 million answer. No complex math needed.
Okay, time for a quick knowledge check. Let's make sure that whole sinking fund concept is crystal clear. This is a practical problem you might actually run into someday.
Take a second and think about it. You have a future goal, $50,000, and you need to find the annual payment to get there. The correct answer is B. Just like with the steel plant, you're solving for the required payment to reach a future goal, so you'd use the PMT function.
You know, ultimately, that's what this is all about. These tools, whether you use the old school formula or a simple Excel function, they aren't just for big corporations. They are the practical bridge that connects a big financial goal to the simple, concrete steps you need to take every year to actually make it happen.
So I'm going to leave you with this question. You now have the tools to calculate the future value of your savings or to work backward from a huge life goal. You can literally engineer a financial outcome. So the only question left is, what future are you going to start building today? Thanks for joining me.